Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is all about the under eye area. So I'm going to be talking about color correcting, concealing, setting the under eye, really how to achieve that full coverage under the eye without looking heavy, without looking thick, without accentuating the texture or fine lines around your eyes, and something that actually conceals and covers those dark circles. I've been getting a lot of questions and comments from you guys saying that what you're currently using doesn't really cover your dark circles. You can kind of still see it peeking through. Also about your concealer staying in place and how to set your concealer. Sometimes you use powders and it makes it look too heavy. So we're going to be talking about all of that. I'm going to share with you guys my current concealer routine because I think I have found a game changer, and I'm actually kind of stealing that term from my friend Stephanie because the product that I'm going to feature today is a product that she kind of introduced me to. She had been testing it and using it and featured it in one of her videos recently, and her and I text every day, and when she was testing this product, she was like, this is a total game changer. So when they reached out to me, I jumped on the opportunity of working with them. This video is in partnership with Colorescience, so I do want to mention that. Let's go ahead and talk about concealer. So I don't have a stitch of makeup on my face right now. For this video, I'm just going to kind of show you my current concealer routine and talk to you about tips and tricks as we go through the process. Then I'll apply the rest of my makeup and I'll come right back. Okay, so what I usually do every morning when I wake up is I kind of splash cold water on my face. I usually don't wash my face in the mornings because I've removed all of my makeup and cleansed my skin at night. I wake up, just put some cold water on my face, take a washcloth and kind of pat my skin dry. I always apply an eye cream to the under eye area. I can't stress how important that is. One of the issues that causes texture in the skin to look more obvious is dehydrated skin. It's skin that's lacking moisture. So when you're dealing with dry skin that has a lot of texture, when you put makeup on top of that, it just magnifies it. So you want to make sure that your under eye area is really, really hydrated. The eye cream that I use, and I have for years, is just the Multifunction Eye Cream by Rodan & Fields. I have used this for years. So I apply this under the eye. I started using this about 6 years ago. I used to be a consultant. I guess technically I still am. I'm just not super active with it. But I've been using this eye cream ever since. I really like it. It's very hydrating. I can use it at night and I can use it also in the morning before I apply my makeup, and it doesn't interfere with the way that my makeup lasts throughout the day. So I really like that. I really want one product that I can use both day and night. I feel like I do use a lot of skincare products, but I still feel like there's so much opportunity to use more, and I really don't want to use more products. I kind of want to find products that are very versatile that I can use day and night. So this is a really great one. I apply that first under my eye and I kind of let that sit in for a couple of minutes. Usually I'll brush my teeth, I'll go make coffee or whatever. I'm so busy in the mornings that it's not hard to find something to do between that 2 to 3 minutes or so. So the next step that I do is actually new in my routine. I just started using this a few weeks ago. This was actually featured in my February favorites video. I was really curious. The curiosity got the best of me. It was kind of one of those impulse purchases. I was at Target and I was picking up the new Physicians Formula Healthy Foundation, which I do plan to do a review on. And I saw this sitting next to it. It's the Physicians Formula Refreshment Cucumber and Bamboo Eye Depuffer. And I thought, this looks interesting. So I picked this up at the store and I've really been enjoying it. It's just this stick, so it kind of is like a deodorant stick. And I just apply it right under my eyes. Oh, it feels so good and so cooling, so refreshing. I love the way it feels. It really doesn't have a strong scent. It has a very, very faint kind of cucumbery scent, not overly fragranced at all. It feels amazing. So what really attracted me to this product at the store was the fact that it said depuffer on it. I was like, that sounds interesting, because I've always struggled with puffiness under the eyes in the mornings. And what's funny is that by the time I got to start trying this, I had already been using the Colorescience for a few weeks, and I really didn't have a whole lot of puffiness. So as far as like speaking to this product and its effectiveness with depuffing, totally transparent. I can't really make a whole lot of claims to that because I haven't really had puffiness under my eyes for a couple of weeks. So, but regardless of if it doesn't depuff at all, if that doesn't even work, I still love this product because I love the way it feels, and it just makes the under eye area so smooth. It gives this nice little smooth slip. So yeah, I really, really have been enjoying this product a lot. So that goes on after my eye cream. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about color correcting. If you're not familiar with what color correcting has actually been a trick that makeup artists have used for decades. Color correcting is essentially taking a makeup product that has a pigment in it that is opposite to the color that you're trying to correct, like let's say darkness under the eyes, like let's say bluish under the eyes, or if you have redness in your cheeks. So basically what you're doing is you're taking that color you're trying to correct. Let's say for under eye area, we're talking about blue, deep, dark circles. So what you're doing is you're taking a color that is opposite to that color on the color wheel. And I don't have my physical color wheel here. I used to have one. And I can't find it, but I'm gonna post a little graphic here for you to see. But if you were to look at a color wheel and you take that blue color, because that's what we're color correcting, you wanna take the color that's directly opposite, that color is going to cancel out and neutralize the color that you are trying to correct, if that makes sense. Let me start over because I feel like that was a really long-winded explanation. Color correction is taking a product that has the opposite color to what you are trying to correct on the color wheel and applying it over to cancel out and to neutralize that color. So if you have a lot of redness in your cheeks, you want to take the opposite color on the color wheel, which is gonna be green. And that's why when you see these green color correctors that are primers, that's what they're for. You apply it before you apply your complexion product like your foundation or concealer, and it will help diminish, cancel, and neutralize that redness. So for the under eye area, we typically see purple, blue, darkness under the eyes. So you want to look for a really nice peach color corrector to cancel out that blue and purple tone. Does that make sense? So I have tested several color correctors in the past, and some I've liked, some I really found really hard to work with. And then this was introduced to me, like I said, about a month ago. It's the Colorescience Total Eye 3-in-1 Renewal. This has been truly a game changer for me. I was so excited to test this, especially after having Stephanie's recommendation of it. So what this is essentially a color correcting concealer. It has SPF of 35. It's a mineral-based SPF, so it's a chemical-free SPF. It immediately corrects dark circles under the eye. This peach tone in it immediately cancels out any darkness that you have under the eye and brightens that area up. It's a very, very hydrating to under the eye. In fact, it's also a treatment. So when used over time, it's gonna help with dark circles, puffiness, fine lines. So this product is more than just a makeup product. It's actually a treatment product as well. So over time, this is going to help long-term with dark circles, fine lines, puffiness under the eye area. So if you continue to use this product, you will find that those concerns diminish, which is very interesting because when I picked up this cucumber stick, I was I shouldn't say I was disappointed I didn't have puffiness because that's silly. Of course I wasn't disappointed, but that was really kind of my first like light bulb moment of how this has been helping me with my puffiness, because I had always been puffy and then no longer was I puffy after I'd been using this for a few weeks. So I'm going to show you how I've been using this product. So it comes like this. It has this little cool tip applicator, so when you apply it, it feels really cool and refreshing on the skin. It says you only want a half a pump, so I would start there. What you do is you dot it under your eye area, and you can even bring it up to your eyelid and brighten that area, because sometimes we tend to be dark on the eyelid as well. You can bring it up to your brow bone, and it'll also prime the eye for eye makeup. Now you can kind of go back and forth with this cooling tip. It feels really nice. That also helps with puffiness. I'll do that to spread the product, but then I'll go in with my beauty blender or my finger. Actually, it actually spreads really nice with your finger, and I'll just spread that out. This product feels really creamy. You'll notice that it feels very different than any concealer that you've used. It doesn't feel thick. It blends out really nice. I wouldn't say that it's like a full coverage concealer, but I have used this as my concealer alone, and I think it's just enough for those days that you don't really need full coverage, or you aren't wearing a whole lot of makeup, or you're just getting out the door real quick but you don't want to wear a lot of makeup. This will work nice alone because it does have more of a natural type of finish that it doesn't look like you would need to put foundation to kind of match that. Does that make sense? I also use this as a color corrector, and I've put concealer on top of that, so I'm going to show you how to do that as well. So I've applied this all over my eyelid, and this is going to be my primer for the day. Since this is a treatment product, you can use this morning and night if you prefer. I'll be honest, I've only been using it in the morning when I apply makeup, but if you use it at night, then I think that your results will just come a little quicker. Okay, so I'm going to show you the difference between the two sides. So no makeup and then a little bit of that color corrector. You can see that this area is clearly much brighter, but it still kind of looks natural. So if I wanted to run out the door with just putting a little bit of bronzer on, I would have a brighter under eye, but it wouldn't look like I really have much makeup on. One thing that I hear a lot about people that have really dark circles and they really struggle with finding the right product to conceal is a lot of times they will grab a concealer, like a full coverage concealer that's really bright and light, and they'll just go straight in with that. And they say that they can still see a cast of that darkness coming through. And you may have heard me use this comparison in the past, but What I kind of compare that to is having like a big dark bruise on your leg and wearing white pantyhose. You know, you're really not fooling anybody. You know, you're still gonna see that bruise coming through. And so that's kind of what you're doing when you use a concealer that's really bright and light without going in and correcting first. So when you're looking for a color corrector, you just wanna make sure that it has a nice peach undertone. Then what you can do is if you feel like you need more coverage after that, then go in with your concealer. But you don't need to use as much concealer because you've already kind of done half the work with that corrector. Okay, I have 3 concealers I want to show you guys. These are kind of my 3 favorite concealers at the moment, and they're all very, very different. So the first concealer I want to show you guys is the Bye Bye Under Eye by IT Cosmetics. This is a full coverage concealer. This is a very thick concealer. This is kind of like a you either love it or you hate it concealer, I found out. I raved about this, and then I had a lot of people in the comment section tell me they wanted to love it, but they find it too thick and too heavy. And I can totally see how that can happen. You guys, this is so thick. You want to use the smallest amount, and I'm saying like you want to use like that much for both your eyes. I'm going to show you what how I started using this. So when I first got this product, I started applying. Can you tell the difference in the two there? I don't even know if you can really, I'm not even sure if you can really see on camera, but you know, I think naturally you want to squeeze about that much out because I think that that's what you would use of another type of concealer that wasn't so thick. But you really just want to use a small, teeny, tiny amount. This is so pigmented, so thick. Use a very small amount. If you use what you would think you would use, I can tell you it will be too much. But I really like it a lot. It gives full coverage, it's waterproof, it's anti-aging. I'm shade medium tan, and I just feel like it gives me like a full, flawless coverage. The days that I don't want to look like I have a lot of makeup on, I don't reach for that concealer because it is full coverage. The concealers that I like that offer me a little bit more of a natural finish are the Age Rewind by Maybelline. This is a great drugstore concealer. This is the concealer that I've been wearing when I do wear the Color Science, and then I wear a concealer on top. Because this is lightweight, that even though I've used 2 products, it doesn't feel heavy, you know what I mean? And then I've really been enjoying the Kevyn Aucoin concealer. I like this one a lot too. This in terms of coverage is between the Maybelline and the IT Cosmetics. I would say it doesn't offer as much as the IT Cosmetics, but it offers more than the Maybelline. It sets to a little bit more of a drier finish than the Maybelline. So it does have a slightly more dry kind of set to it. So if you have more dry under eye areas, you might want to consider the Maybelline or the IT Cosmetics over the Kevyn Aucoin. But I do think that this is a great long-wearing concealer that offers pretty decent coverage. But today we're going to use the Maybelline Age Rewind because I think this is the perfect concealer to pair over the Color Science. So I'm just going to go on top of that. My favorite tool to blend in concealer is a Beauty Blender. I think it just does a great job of giving you the coverage that you want, absorbing any excess product so you don't have more product than you need, really. Again, it's all about using just what you need and not any more than that. So I really like to go in and set that. So you can see I have great coverage under the eye. It's very nice and bright. It doesn't look heavy. I don't feel like I have a lot of product even though I use those 2 products. They were both pretty thin in consistency. Again, the Color Science is super hydrating. It blends in like a dream. It really feels like a great treatment for the under eye area. And it has that SPF of 35, which is so important. I mean, obviously we're probably all using SPF on our skin, but are we really protecting that under eye and that eyelid? I can be honest and tell you that I don't take my SPF there. So it's great to find it in a product that is specifically for that area. Okay, so let me apply my foundation and I'll be right back and we'll talk about setting the under eye area. All right, we're back. So now let's talk about setting the concealer with powder. Is this step necessary? Is it just going to make my under eye area look more dry? Accentuate fine lines, texture? I hear these questions and comments all the time. For me, the step is necessary, and I think it really depends on the product, the concealer that you're using. So this, unfortunately, under eye concealer, setting powders, all that isn't really a one size fits all. Unfortunately, there are so many variables that go into how your concealer is going to last throughout the day, how it's going to look, if setting it with powder is going to make it look more dry or accentuate more texture. There's so many different variables, right? One, your skin type. Is it very dry under the eye area, or do you have more oily skin? How much texture you have under the eye. If you have more texture than someone that doesn't, using a setting powder might accentuate that. So these are all variables that you got to kind of consider. But I do think that there are products out there that are more kind of versatile, and that's what I'm going to show you. So the powder that I love to set my under eyes with, my favorite powder, is the Laura Mercier Secret Brightening Powder. It comes in a little container like this. Don't get this mistaken with the translucent translucent powder that they sell, which is in a larger tub. I find this to be much more refined. This also has the most subtle, like illuminating quality to it, so it does subtly brighten the under eye area. It's not going to be a lot of shimmer or a lot of highlight. It's not going to be a lot of shimmer or a lot of highlight. It's not really going to look like makeup altered that highlight. It really does have the most fine little light reflective particles, so that when light hits your skin, that area just looks brighter and more luminous. So the key with setting your concealer is just using the smallest amount of powder and using the right powder. Powders I would avoid are heavy setting powders, loose heavy setting powders, powder foundations. If you use a powder foundation or a mineral loose powder foundation, don't put that under your eyes. Even if you don't have any texture under the eyes, that is just going to make that area look more dry, and it's basically going to accentuate any texture. Even if you have the smallest amount that you never noticed before, you're probably going to notice it if you use a powder that is too heavy. One other thing I would recommend is not baking. I know on YouTube we see baking as this big trend where you pile on a bunch of powder under the eye area, let it sit for 10 minutes, and then you sweep it off. That might look good for photographs, but in real life, when you're talking to me and you're this far away and I've done that, that area is just gonna, any smile that I make, any expression that I make, that is just gonna settle into those lines and make it look like a lot of makeup. Make it look like your makeup is way too heavy. So stick with something very light, very refined, very sheer. Again, the Laura Mercier is one of my favorites. I also like the Danessa Myricks translucent powder, and 01 is the shade. I find that to be light enough to dust under the eye. The key is just applying a very little amount. I actually like to use a fluffy brush like this. Some people like to use a beauty blender. And that works too. I don't know. I think I like a brush better because I feel like it just applies it a little bit more sheerly than a beauty blender does. So I get it on my brush and I always tap off any excess. I don't even know if you can see the powder kind of falling off, but I really don't want a lot. And I just go and I really just set under that eye area. Again, if you use too much, and too much of anything really is going to accentuate texture, but the key is just using a very little amount. If you're using a creamy based concealer, I definitely think the Color Science is so hydrating that you want to set it with a little bit of powder. The IT Cosmetics Bye Bye Under Eye, I think definitely needs a setting powder. Some concealers that I think don't are the Kevyn Aucoin concealer. This does have a little bit of a drier set to it than the others, so that I feel like you can go with or without setting it depending on if you have issues with your concealer creasing. If you don't have issues with your concealer creasing, then by all means skip that step entirely. The Clé de Peau, am I saying that fancy enough? I really like that concealer a lot. However, that's a much drier consistency, so I don't really feel the need to set it with a powder. The Revlon Youth Effects, is that the name of it? It's one of their newer concealers that launched last year. I find that to be a little bit of a drier consistency that I don't always have to set with the powder. But if I'm using a concealer that is very hydrating and very creamy, if I don't set it with the powder, I find that it creases or moves throughout the day. So just a couple of tips and tricks when you are looking at setting it with the powder, what powder to look for, what tool to use to apply it, and again, less is more. I think that's the overall theme here for concealer and under eye area, is less is more. And that's what I love about the Color Science color corrector, is it really allows you to use less concealer. It's not as heavy or thick as like a typical concealer, so you can include that step that will allow you to use less of your thicker full coverage concealer, if that makes sense. But so I have just really been enjoying this product a lot. It came with a mascara, and I believe you get the free mascara with the purchase of the product. Since I have lash extensions, I haven't had a whole lot of experience with the mascara. I've been using it on my lower lashes, which is what I use today, and it seems on my lower lashes to be a pretty soft, natural looking mascara. I'll show you what the brush looks like. But again, I haven't really been using this on my lashes because I have lash extensions, and it's really hard for me to make any claims about mascara since I've got these things that kind of make it a little bit unfair. But yeah, I will have a link down below and a promotional code so that you make sure you get that free mascara with your purchase. But yeah, I have been so excited to share this video with you. I've been using it for probably about a month now, and I actually have talked about it in several other videos just because it's something I've been using and really enjoying a lot. So I hope you guys found this video helpful. Leave all your questions and comments down below. I hope that you walk away from this with at least 1 or 2 new tips or tricks, or something that you didn't already know about concealing the under eye area or color correcting. I have a video that I did a while back on color correcting that I will link down below. I'm gonna warn you, I've got a ton of makeup on in that video. I look at some of my old videos and I'm like, oh my gosh, I used to just pile it on. It's a little distracting, but I think there is some good information in that video about color correcting. So whether you're looking for under your eyes or your face, or any area of the skin that you just have discoloration, and you're finding that you're having to use a really heavy complexion product like concealer or foundation to cover it, sometimes adding a color corrector will really help because it'll help neutralize and fade that discoloration so that you don't have to use so much makeup, if that makes sense. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. As always, I hope you guys have a fantastic day, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!